Hello, welcome back to the channel again. We are here at one of the UK's or London's fancier bike shops, and I'm getting fitted out for a new pair of shoes. As you know, I like to be on the front foot in terms of cycling tech. So new set of shoes from the US, we have to be 3D scanned for them. And we also are going to talk to bike fitter Way about most common mistakes, what you should focus on, things like gym or bike fitting, and what he looks for in order of preference as a bike fitter. So here we go.
So we're going to do a few scans, just to make sure we get good data capture. We're going to do a few different foot postures, just to see how your foot loads as well, and then the guys at Law can choose the most appropriate one. Okay. Okay, let's try a scan. So what we're going to do is kind of load your feet a little bit. So you're just going to lean forward a little bit into your feet. Make sure you've got good weight into.
Can I do my feet have to be straight? Because I can do that better if I'm slightly apart.
Prefer you to be straight as possible. You can go a little bit wider. So just a little bit in the knees, and just make sure there's load through the heels as well as all your feet and side.
I always found the issue with these kind of things and getting scanned, it was like you were great because you gave directions, like a bit of load through here. It's when you get measured for, I was always quite anti-custom insoles because firstly you do them stood, you don't do them in a riding position, and it's very different when you've got weight going through your heel, whereas on a bike all your weight's going through this pivot point around your ball of your foot. And it's that, like, we'll just stand normally. But at that exact moment, you forget how to stand normally.
Yeah.
So,
the thing I found with those shoes, because the up is quite rigid.
Yeah.
You want to give yourself a bit of room.
Oh, okay.
You just feel like you're toe.
Yeah.
Just kind of loading into the foot.
Yeah.
And bending the knees.
Okay.
All right, let's get you
back on the box.
Back on the box. Back on the ladies.
Yeah. Early generation. Aesthetically, room for improvement, but wild. So, and then presume this, then yeah, boa straps. Or how many months would you say this? You went from that to this?
It's probably about 5 months.
It's a pretty strong rate of.
So you were talking about your McFit kind of insoles. So they're like the structure that kind of, it's a bit like ski boot. It just like locks you into place and holds your foot. Yeah. So it's a bit like a crutch. And so the crutch gets you into a good position, but it doesn't, the idea is kind of at some point you want to be able to take your body away from the crutch and have your body function without the crutch, because the crutch doesn't actually strengthen it.
most common mistake you see out on the roads?
Most common mistake, I would say, without a doubt, is having your saddle too high.
Okay.
The vast majority of people are riding around with their saddle too high, and there's a very good biological reason for that, and that is because we're not designed to ride a bike. And bike riding actually puts you into a very strange kind of position where actually you can't extend your leg as fully as you possibly can do. So you're trapped within a circular pedal stroke. Your body is built to run and walk, where if you look at a runner in full flight, you'll see that they come into what was called triple extension. So they extend their hip fully, they extend their knee fully, they extend their foot fully. So their leg is complete, and hip and foot are kind of completely extended. And that never happens in cycling.
Yeah.
So if you're putting out loads of power and sprinting and doing that, like you kind of get out of the saddle to do that, to get that kind of triple extension, to get that extra length. But when you're sat in saddle, you're always a bit compressed. You're always like kind of sat into your hips. So everyone feels like they need more. They need more power. They need more, like they've got more to give. And so they nudge the saddle up. But that just means that they overextend.
So if you sat on a saddle and you're dropping your leg, a quick way of getting the correct saddle height?
So a really good place to start would be the old heel on pedal kind of method. So if you're sat on the saddle, unclip your shoe, put the heel of your shoe on the pedal when you're at bottom dead center of the crank. So you're getting full leg extension, and if your legs kind of basically your knees locked out, leg fully extended, then that's a good place to start. And then when you clip in, that means you won't be completely fully locked out. So that's a good place to start, but then you got to test it and just see what does it feel like when you nudge the saddle a little bit lower. What happens if you nudge it a little bit higher?
I guess there'd then be a certain amount of adaptation to that as well. It might feel wrong, and then it'll feel right.
Exactly, and everyone's slightly different. So if you've got super tight hamstrings, then your leg extension is going to be slightly less than, say, average. Or if you're hypermobile, then maybe you might find that you want more extension. So everyone's an individual, but you know, heel and pedal, good place to start.
Yeah. Numb hands.
Oh, numb hands.
What is the most likely cause, and what do I do?
So I would say maybe a more modern trend that's happened. See that more and more at the moment, and that is usually because your weight distribution's a little bit too far forward. So if you have your saddle forward relative to your feet, so if your body weight is more over the bottom bracket, like getting towards a time trial kind of position, then it just pitches your weight forward. And so your hands have to do more work to kind of support your body weight. A lot of people will be getting into that kind of wanting that more aero position. Modern bikes want to pitch you forward into the aero position, and it does work, it gets you into the aero position, but it places more demand on your upper body and your ability to have the strength and capacity to hold that position. And so, when that kind of runs out, then you get numb hands.
Sore lower back.
Sore lower back.
Same, but what's caused it, and what do I do about it?
Again, probably related to saddle positioning. So either having saddle too far forward or too high, then your lower back basically holds everything together on the bike. So at one end of the system, you've got your legs pushing away. At the other end of the system, you've got your hands holding onto the handlebars and in control of the bike. What's stuck in the middle is your back. So if your saddle position isn't quite right, then your back has to control all the power that your legs are kind of generating, plus the posture that you're trying to hold. And so if something's a little bit off, then it overworks. And therefore, then you get to a point where the body's just like, no thanks, I'm going to send you some pain.
Sore ass. What's caused it, and what do I do about it?
Well, without getting too personal, I'll stick with the bike fit thing, shall we? I'm going to go a little bit different. Okay, so saddle sores can come from just not riding enough. So just capacity to kind of stay in the position. And again, like sitting on a saddle for hours on end, pretty unnatural.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, but you want your body to do it. And so you do have to condition your ass to be able to take the load. If you sit in a cinema for 2 hours, my ass is sore sitting on something. So, like sitting on a bike saddle for, hours and hours on end, there's going to be a little bit of discomfort, but you can condition your body to it.
Calluses, like you get on your hands, that's what you want.
Hopefully. So on that point, I think it's more to do with conditioning the rest of your body to actually be able to hold the posture, create the power to be able to hold your body in that position.
Yeah.
If you can't hold the position, then you end up relying on contact points like the saddle for extra support, and you put more weight onto it than you need to, and therefore, then you get calluses and numb bits and numb hands and all the rest of it.
So I'm going. Just got a bike. Bike fit or gym?
Oh.
And I know you're probably biased towards bike fitting, but
well, I was going to say they both go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Bike fit does equal gym most of the time. I would say that bike fit would be the obvious one. Let's say you've just bought like a new suit.
Yeah.
And it kind of fits all right, but you've got a wedding to go to, so you want to look really sharp, or you want to make it fit really well, don't you? So you might as well go do that rather than going out and buying a nice bow tie to go with it. So you've got to make it kind of fit first, and then go to the gym and build the engine, build the capacity.
Gotcha. Okay. 5 things, and all of them in importance.
Whoa.
1 to 5. 1 being the most important. We have saddle type, saddle position, handlebar position, inner sole, or shoe type. So kind of your 3 points of 3 points of contact split across 5 things. What would you be prioritizing? And I know they're all connected.
Yeah.
I know it's probably case by case basis, but where would you start?
I would start with shoes first.
Okay. So shoe brand, shoe size.
Shoe size, shoe fit, shoe shape. Does it fit your foot, basically? Yeah. Your shoes are your foundation. You stack everything else on top of your feet. Yeah. You put your power through it. You have to kind of hold your body on top of it. So if your feet aren't supported, if your shoes are painful, they're not doing their job. And so you can't stack good performance on top of poor foundations.
Okay.
Next up then, I'd probably go to saddle. So contact points are like the most important thing. There's 3 points of contact, so feet, bum, hands. Yeah. Feet, obviously, the first contact point, most important. Saddle. Saddle position is probably the most important to get right first. Yeah. Because you can have the right saddle, but if you don't have it in the wrong position, it's just going to feel bad.
Okay.
But once you've got the position right, then you can get the saddle shape right.
Yeah.
So that's number 3. So saddle position and saddle shape.
Yeah.
Then I might go back to... No, I'd probably go to kind of handlebars. So got feet, bum, then you get your hands right.
Yeah.
And then you can go back to insoles after that to really kind of optimize everything within that.
Gotcha. That was interesting. 2 more questions I've thought of whilst we're sat here. See you're wearing the barefoot shoes.
Yeah.
And that's something we're talking about in this video. Yeah. And the law shoes adopt that model. Yeah. However, on a bike, I've always been it's not walking.
Yeah.
It's a different thing to walking. So clamping your foot into a rigid shoe that's not designed for the foot versus like a law, which is designed to allow the shoe works. Yeah. Where do you see the future of shoes going in that regard? Because it's, there are 2 clear schools of thought there, I think. Is it how it's always been and this new thinking?
Yeah, it's always difficult. Like law are wild, they look wild, and that's always going to be a bit of a barrier. But I really respect them for being innovative and trying to push the technology to create better products for us, or better solutions. So I think laws are like great problem solvers. So it operates in two different ways. So great problem solvers. So for someone like me who has pretty wide feet, I find it difficult to find like regular shoes to fit. And so laws, easy solution. 3D print it, scan your foot, and 3D print exactly to your foot. And so, the shape's going to be right for you. The other side of laws is that they have a different take on performance. So how do we get the power and control out of your foot and into the bike? And their mechanism for actually creating a fairly rigid kind of upper, so that your cycling shoe becomes more like a ski boot.
Yeah.
And that rigid upper basically allows you to transfer kind of more of your energy, pedaling energy, into the pedal stroke, across more of the pedal stroke. So particularly at the top of the pedal stroke, when you're pushing over the top, initiating that power, you can push into the kind of the upper of the shoe, and that allows you to just transfer more energy, which is where traditional shoes, they have a very soft upper, even like knitted ones, and they're just not as efficient for kind of driving that energy.
Do you think we'll see the dead spot at the top of the shoe, maybe sort of you're engaging power earlier with that, a reduction of the dead spot at the top?
Yeah. I think that's the hope. Hoping to do a bit more testing around that with a little bit of tech, just to see where that kind of dead spot comes in. But I think that will kind of help. And certainly with the adoption of more kind of aggressive aero positions as well, like the shoes kind of make total sense in terms of supporting the body in a more challenging kind of position.
Okay, final question, time trial one.
Yes, let's do it.
No, this is a question I was asked even last night. This is something I suffered with, loads suffered with. The time trial bike, your aggressive position, you see a lot of time trialists, pedal stroke, pedal stroke, pedal stroke, push back in the saddle.
Yes.
How do you solve it? Or my opinion was you never truly solve it, but you can improve the frequency that it's happening.
Yeah. So there's multiple reasons why it can happen. Let's just say, for example, your position is actually is good, it's optimal, but you're still getting that kind of what we call the typewriter. So you go shuffle forward on the saddle, and then ching, you got to shift back.
That's
I took that from Colby, actually.
Oh, right.
I think. So you can credit Colby for that. So one can be just like muscular capacity. So because you're in such an extreme position and you're putting your muscles in quite a lengthened position, so you're like hamstrings into a more lengthened position, but you're asking it to do more work at the same time, but also posturally you're trying to like lock your body down and hold a very rigid position, whereas your body really wants to move around a lot. So there's a lot of demand on your muscles, and so as they fatigue, everything gets tighter and there's more tension. As you get tighter, then you can't hold the position anymore, because like if your hamstrings get tighter, then basically you need to lower your saddle height. The front of the saddle is closer to the BB, so effectively the further forward you come is the lower the saddle gets. So my theory is that as you start to fatigue into that TT or create more demand than the muscles can deal with, then everything tightens up, and so you kind of get shunted forward. Then you kind of relax a little bit, shuffle back, and then you get back on it again, and then the cycle repeats. That can also occur because the posture that you adapt is too challenging as well. So something within the position is driving too much challenge for your body, and it just creates too much tension within the body, and so everything tightens up. You just kind of everything just crunches up again. So just imagine if you're nice and relaxed, everything's open. If you're tense and under pressure, then everything just crunches up. So getting into more of the fetal position, as it were. So yeah, the best riders are the ones that can somehow relax under pressure. And that's what happens on a good day. You're just like, if there's not too much pressure and you're just like less expectations, you're just like, yeah, just go out and smash it. You're like, oh, actually, did freaking good. But yeah, there's a lot more into it. But I think maybe that concept will give your listeners a good idea for what's going on.
Cool. Great. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Alex.
All right.